What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. Hope you're all doing well. As always, I am your host, Justin Harold, and with me today, as always, my co-host, Jeff Santa. Today is episode 23's recording for the Cleveland Pulse podcast, and we will be talking about the Browns, more specifically, a preview leading up to their matchup against the Houston Texans this Sunday. Jeff, how you doing, my guy?
Good. Busy weekend, busy week, busy life. Let's dive right into it. But I'm ready to go. This should be a great coming off the bye. Should be a great one, huh?
Yeah, and it feels like it's been a while, but obviously me and you have been sending text messages back and forth. And so, yeah, I mean, there's been news around the Browns for the most part. Also, just a quick shout out to the Indians with Shane
Yes,
Bieber
sir.
winning the Cy Young Award. So that's always good. We're approaching the NBA draft, which is in, I believe, less than 2 weeks at this point. So we'll probably start thinking about Cavs stuff here in the near
Quick
future.
turnaround.
Yeah, hopefully. But also a quick shout out to Jeff's hoodie. He, if you guys aren't up to date with what's going on in the world, the next generation of gaming consoles have come out, and Jeff, a a world-renowned PlayStation user wearing his
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation hoodie. So just thought
Yep,
I'd give
world
that a quick shout
famous.
out. Wearing this hoodie for the release of the Miles Morales Spider-Man game.
Love
But
it.
anyways, getting back to sports and to the Browns. So there was some news leading up to this week. Today's Thursday, so we have injury reports and other news. But the one thing that was funny just throughout the week was Baker Mayfield. This isn't the funny part. I'll get to the funny part, but Baker Mayfield hits the COVID list because he was in contact with one of the staff managers that got COVID, and Jeff is really funny on Twitter a lot of times, or like when we text, because it's just me and him. But I think I sent him that in like preparation to be like, all right, he doesn't have COVID, but he's on the list. And Jeff just goes, oh great. And that's like a constant reply from you on
Nice.
anything.
I just go nice.
Yeah, it's just a constant reply from you that's like about anything that's a negative with the Browns. It's just like, oh, of course. Why
I mean,
do you even need to send me that?
just mentally, man, I'm just always in that state. Thank God we're 5-3. Or I would be so brutal. These episodes, imagine the first year we start this. We've been talking about it for a while. They're pretty good. Let's go.
Absolutely. And talking about that 5-3 record, obviously, okay, by the way, Baker returned to practice yesterday. Everything doesn't have COVID, so he'll be all good for the game. But talking about that 5-3 record, Jeff, you and I mean, we got into like a heated debate, not like a heated debate, but we got into a debate on Twitter to the point where we were debating it so much. I just had to call you and try to talk about it.
Oh,
With all these teams that are, in the playoff hunt.
we've never had to talk about other teams winning or like what we need to happen to like help us because we're usually like 3-5 or like 2-6, not 5-3.
And somehow a lot of the time in a lot of years there's always a conspiracy like almost all the way down to like the last 4 games that the Browns could somehow make it
Yep,
into the wild
in the
card.
hunt,
But
in the hunt.
right, but it's more plausible now that we're 5-3. We're coming out of the bye, and so there's a lot of teams: the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Colts, who me and you. That's how we got into that debate and everything. But there are a few teams that have remaining schedules, like the Dolphins, who they're a team who coming into this season I wanted them to do well, but not this well. If
Yep.
it was going to affect us in this way, but they're heating up at the right time, and their schedule is very very easy from this point on. Easier, I should say, but then you got the Raiders, who we lost to, where that tiebreaker is going to be. It's going to be one of those things where I told you, Jeff, before the Cincinnati game happened, I was going to be okay with us losing to Cincy and winning against the Raiders. And, it went the other way around, and it is what it is. But I'm just trying to look. So we are currently in the 8th seed
It's
at
a
the
mess.
yeah, I mean the AFC is so competitive this year. I mean, it's not like the AFC where if we were put in the position of I mean, even the AFC is competitive, but I'm just saying that because the Eagles are in there at 3-4-1.
NFC, the
I'm glad
NFC.
I'm glad that's a great thing to have. But
Yeah, stupid.
whatever, it's fine. But yeah, I mean the three teams vying for 6, 7, and 8, even 9 right now with the Colts are all 5-3. There needs to be a lot done in terms of this remaining schedule, and the Browns have little room for error, right, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to show up, you got to win your games, and at least halfway through the year, you can at least confidently say that we can control our own destiny. Like you kind of touched on in previous seasons, we're always in the hunt. Whatever. Even if we could finish like 7-9 some years, maybe we can make the playoffs. That ain't going to happen this year. Highly unlikely. I wish they had like math or statistics out that I could find, like, because ESPN puts out like what percentage of like what team's percentage chances to like make the playoffs, but I'm pretty sure that's a lot of like bias, probably with their numbers as well. But I just want to know like probably what's like the recommended record, because I'm assuming it's going to be 9-7 minimum to make the playoffs in the AFC this year. I don't think 8-8 squad's getting in.
With 8-8.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
There's
the
no
division
chance.
winners. The division winners, I guess, could be maybe that bad. But I mean, as far as the wild card goes, that's like more less I'm talking about. Because I mean, there's going to be a team there's got to be a team from the NFC East that's going to be that bad that gets in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Has to be.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point in the season, halfway point, I think it couldn't have come at a better time. Honestly, it set up a lot of returns for this week and against a Texans team that, in my opinion, is a lot better than their record. Obviously, they fired Bill O'Brien and have moved on to Romeo Cornell, who is a seasoned veteran coach, and we're getting all of our guys back. And if I can say, Jeff sent me a DM last night at like 12 o'clock about Wyatt Teller coming back and like the Browns getting their man on the line back and everything. I mean, it's just going to be fantastic to have the whole roster except for Greedy Williams on the active. Everyone on the active roster practiced yesterday. Is the big news. So everyone is seemingly going to play this game. Kevin Stefanski keeps saying like, "Oh, we're not sure about Nick and we're not sure about Wyatt." I think that's just like because he doesn't want to like, maybe I don't know, maybe he's like trying to get over into the Texans, media and try to get them to think that those two aren't playing. But I think if not starting, Nick Chubb will definitely be getting touches to get back into the swing of things. But by the way, I hate knee braces. Like they look so weird. I saw I saw the knee brace on Nick Chubb and I was like, that doesn't it just like one, I know it's like there for safety reasons, but like it just also just like does not like, I'm like, all right, well now I have to be reminded that he's injured in some way. So I don't know how long he's got to keep that on. Hopefully, hopefully you'll be able to take it off, because I mean, it's got to like restrict you in some way, right? Like it gives you the protection, but it's got to restrict you in some sort of way.
Yeah, I don't like it. I didn't like the look of it in some of the videos I saw, him going through drills in practice. But I mean, I don't know, man. We're going to need him for the second half of the season. So either way, however Stefanski wants to figure it out, I don't think that you could. I mean, you can rest him this week. I just would really hope that we would not. If we play Teller and Chubb, I have really high hopes for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. I just think that, maybe he's just wearing it for practice sake, though. Like, that's always something that I think that could be done is like, just wear it for practice.
Maybe we should tweet at somebody. Who's got info?
Daryl Ryder, maybe. Daryl Ryder's the most like informative out of all of those.
Better than Mary Kay.
Writers. We don't need to get into that. Don't need to get into that. But yeah, I mean, healthy team for the most part. Getting Austin Hooper back will be a great thing. Game is at home. The Texans, JJ Watt worries me, of course, because of his, his overall play. He can line up anywhere on the line. So, if he finds a weakness on our offensive line where other teams haven't really found it in the pass rushing scenario, he's the one guy that I could probably put money on being the first to do that. So that'll be interesting. offensively, really hoping that we get Nick Chubb back on. I mean, at least 10 carries, right? He's probably not going to start. They're probably not going to start Nick Chubb first game back, right?
Not with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I just don't see it as being a thing that they rush too much. But with that being said, obviously, but then it kind of ruins the whole fact that, Nick's not going to catch a lot of passes. And I don't think they're going to put him in a lot of the pass protection scenarios where he could bang that knee up. But I don't know. I'm super glad to be getting him back. He's the one player that I think we've missed the most. And then Wyatt Teller, obviously, he's a great player, the best right guard, your favorite player, essentially. And then Austin Hooper, who, without Odell, we didn't have him for that Raiders game. He's sure hands, in my opinion. So it'll be good to have another target for Baker. Baker loves his tight ends. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Maybe they'll even try to, take advantage of him on the outside and kind of be able to use as many tight ends as they can. But who knows? Who knows? But
having him back for blocking is just a good start in general. Teller would be best case scenario, but just overall our running game should just get a huge boost.
Right. We need 100-yard rusher, I think, is my big thing. Like once the 100-yard rusher or really close to, we've just been so dominant in the games that we've won. Those games where we rush so well, except for the Bengals game, that I really do just want us to be able to bang that ball in the holes again.
Well, here's the thing. Let me look here real quick.
Enlighten
so Sunday, here's this matchup in a nutshell. Doesn't look like great weather again.
It's not supposed to be as bad as the Raiders game, but yeah, it's supposed to rain a little bit.
But it looks like there's rain in the morning, chillier, 55, steady rain in morning, showers continuing into afternoon. So here's the thing, looking at that. That's the first thing I want to look at, weather report, because we remember the last game at First Energy. Not awesome. Then you move over to ESPN. Here's the bad part about when it's raining. Teams can't pass the ball. So you're going to have to run the ball. And we just have such a huge advantage over, even without Chubb, we just have such a huge advantage. David Johnson is their lead rusher with 408 yards. He's hurt.
Concussion.
He's hurt. Their lead rusher's hurt. And their second rusher on, is 200 yards, Deshaun Watson. And then you got a good old Duke Johnson buddy with 95 yards on 34 attempts. So that's not very good. So if it's a run game, I think we smoke them.
But it never
really
is. It never is with the Texans. Like Deshaun Watson, the biggest thing I've been hearing the whole week is, the pass rush needs to get to him and they need to keep him they need to stay within their pass rushing lanes because Deshaun Watson is so he has such great escapability. Like everyone talks about Mahomes and everything, but I think Watson, if Watson had the team that Patrick Mahomes, if you swap the two, I think they'd, essentially swap careers and Watson would have a Super Bowl right now compared to Mahomes. So he's a fantastic quarterback. I can't really speak any ill on him. I just think that his team in general is really lacking in a lot of the areas outside of the quarterback position. Running game isn't phenomenal. I think you said David Johnson only has 400 yards. I think
we have two guys that, Chubb only has 300 and something, but I mean, by now healthy, we would have had two guys with probably 500, right? 600.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that. His wide receivers aren't really reliable, in my opinion. Will Fuller, always a constant talking point about when he was supposed to boom, really hasn't done that. But defensively for them, J.J. Watt and then Zach Cunningham, the linebacker, that's the only guys I can really name, and then Bradley Roby. Mm-hmm. So, it'll be interesting to see how we attack their game plan or how we attack them with our game plan on offense. And then defensively, something we haven't talked about yet. I just got to hope that everyone on the defense is healthy and they've gone and they've, someone asked the question in the press conferences this week with Kevin about making adjustments. And I think he worded it to the point where he's like, we had that time to look at everything and, put the best version of us out there. And that's what we're going to do. So he didn't really allude to, if anyone's going to be starting or anyone's going to be doing anything differently. But, they have on the depth chart that Sendejo is still the free safety starter and Ronnie Harrison is now the strong safety starter, which, I really do like Ronnie Harrison. I think that was a really good pickup by us when Grant Delpit went out, and he's just been really good. Hopefully, Carl Joseph will still see time, and I hope that they can work in red wine. It would be really awesome to do my idea of what they should have done after the Colts game and just kind of work them in pairs. So now it's Ronnie Harrison and Sendejo. Yep. And, when you need to give those two guys a breather, put red wine and Joseph in there. So, and then you got Jacob Phillips coming back from injury, which will be interesting because I think he's still limited. So I don't know that he'll get too much playing time, but a player that I think can, cover a lot better than Talkie and BJ Goodson. So it'll be interesting to see how, what their plan is for Deshaun, if they're going to blitz him. I think they should because, in order to get out of that escapability, you have to have secure rushing lanes. And when you're only rushing 4 guys, the pattern that I've seen is that a lot of them like to get out of their rushing lanes. And, Myles Garrett, he gets up the field really well. But if Deshaun's slips between the right tackle and the right guard and there's no defensive tackle over there or even a linebacker spy, then he could be off to the races. Like you said, he's rushed for 200 yards. I bet a lot of that's from him scrambling.
Yeah, there's really no excuse for this not to be our best defensive performance all year long. I mean, you get multiple weeks of film and then David Johnson, probably arguably a good 20-25% of their offense goes down in concussion protocol, basically assuming he's not going to play. So all you really have to prepare for now is Deshaun Watson. Got to have a spy on him. We were giving up 20-plus running yards to Joe Burrow. Like, come on, that's embarrassing, especially on third down. Like that. If
Derek Carr run from the last game where he picked up a first down on third and 15 or something like that.
What are we doing? Get a spy on this guy and let him burn you deep. If he throws for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, then we'll tip our cap and, good on them for completely torching our subpar defense. That's fine with me. But if he's running, if he has a rushing touchdown, this and that, if he's running all over the place for big chunks of yards, it's just not going to be a good sign. I mean, we got all this week to really study their film. They don't have stud wide receivers. I mean, Brandon Cooks is heating up for them a little bit. That's looking to that might be paying off for them, in whatever short runs.
What's he got in yards, Jeff? You got the stats pulled up?
Yeah, Brandon Cooks.
Is he their leading receiver?
Fuller with 590 and Cooks with 510. So he's been putting on the past couple of weeks. Yeah, but I mean, you're going to put Denzel on one of them and just make sure the other one doesn't torch you. That's basically that's your motto. And hopefully Myles Garrett can get in the backfield. Deshaun Watson loves holding the ball. That's what I think is going to probably be his downfall.
Well, but that's because he can get away and create his own time, outside of the pocket, which is, always so troublesome.
But I mean, Duke Johnson's your lead back. Like, come on. If we giving up 100 yards on the ground, I'm going to be upset.
I'll be comfortable with this game if, again, always my thought is always to go and start on defense, but I can't go with that motto anymore because I don't trust our defense. So I'm more in the realm of let's start off with the ball and let's go put points on the board is how I want this game to start. And, I want us to get up by 2 touchdowns. Hopefully if you score a touchdown on the opening drive, you give momentum to our defense and, they get pumped and they rally behind that. And they somehow get the ball back. They get a turnover. They stop them on 3 downs and get a punt. But,
I want to get the ball first every time.
Yeah, I want to get into this point where, the Browns are always leading because just like the comebacks are fun. The comebacks are awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I much rather just, we need to be beating these teams that, we have on the rest of our schedule with leads by building the lead and running the ball. And, because it leaves room for us to game plan later on against the harder teams that don't see all of the plays that we actually have up our sleeves that Kevin Stefanski has up his sleeves. So I'm really interested to see how this game plays out. The Texans, I feel like, can put up points. I know we can put up points. I'm going to say that we get back into the scoring of 30 points for the Browns. I'm going to say, for me, well, Jeff, you got anything before we go into predictions?
No, I totally agree with what you're trying to say, though. I mean, the games that we've won, for the most part, for 90% of the time in the games we've won, we've controlled the game. If you don't control the game against a good team, you're never going to beat them. We got the two-headed monster in the backfield. Hopefully Chubb continues to get healthy. But when you're up 10 points and the other team's defense has to go out there and stop Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt from basically walking down the field and just eating the clock up, I mean, that's probably when we're at our strongest right there. Secondarily, I think that this is a game that we just should have to be prepared for. This is a big time, Kevin Stefanski evaluation coming out of the bye week. Those are probably two of the biggest talking points right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I want to make about the Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt duo that I just haven't seen this entire time since Nick Chubb has been out is the fact that, they kind of, this is what my dad always says about those two, is like, they give each other enough room for, or they give each other enough, what's the word, like blowback in terms of, one of them goes out there for a series and does their thing and gives the other one a breather. And the next drive, the other one's in there giving the other one a breather. And so, it works in tandem compared to, it seemed like we just had Kareem Hunt out there for 80% of the snaps. I liked it better when we had the 50-50 ball going with Nick and Kareem. So that'll be a good thing. And, you brought up the 2 points that you had. I think my last point before we, throw out predictions is just, I'd like to see Baker get back on track in terms of, leaving off that Bengals game. I don't even really consider that Raiders game his fault because he had the most drop passes that week in the NFL. So, I'd like to see
that was a good game from him.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, obviously he didn't outplay Derek Carr. I don't really think Derek Carr outplayed him. It was just like a really bad game weather-wise. But we got to win those games, and hopefully, our guys need to catch the ball in that kind of weather and not let Baker down, not kill drives. Those were a lot of the times the reason we lost that game is because we killed drives that we should have kept on going, and we should have had, more time with the ball, more possession, more plays called and all that, but it just didn't work out that way. So hopefully different story this week. Hopefully the bye week gives us what we need and we can start building momentum for, this is the team outside of, the Titans, the Ravens, and the Steelers that I think is the toughest in my opinion. And if you can build the momentum going into the Eagles game next week and, picking up the wins and getting rolling, I think you'll see that the Browns won't drop many more games, 5-3. There's a very good chance we go 10-6, or maybe even pick up wins that we shouldn't
Hopefully.
get. So, the Ravens look mortal. They look very mortal now. I think Lamar was even on record this week about, teams are calling their plays out pre-snap, which is interesting. I don't know what's going on there with the Ravens, but hopefully when our time comes to play them at home, we know their plays before the snap, I guess. But getting back to this one, I'm going to say that we're going to win 38-28, 10-point win. Feel good about that.
I like 38. All right, so here's my thing. I got this as a loss preseason.
Screw your preseason predictions. And mine. And mine.
I was going to 4-5 on my preseason predictions in this game. So, that's fine. But screw those predictions. I think we're gonna do something that I don't really remember us doing in a long time. We're gonna crush them in the first quarter. I think we're gonna go touchdown drive, and then I think we're gonna go pick six or defensive touchdown, and it's going to be like 14-0. We're going to be out to the races, and we finish up like 35-21. But the first quarter is huge. If we play better than them in the first quarter, I think we win.
Huge. I love it.
Because that happens to us. How many times does that happen to us? Steelers game. We go, our defense actually plays good, and we give up a field goal, and then pick six is 10-0. Why can't we do that? Let's do that one game.
I agree with you. That would be a phenomenal thing. I mean, our defense is just based around us getting takeaways. And I think for 2 games in a row now, we've had someone drop a pass that should have been an interception. And, we didn't lose that Bengals game, but we lost a Raiders game that could have had a pick 6 at the very beginning of the game. That changes everything. So, but I like that. I like us getting back in 35, 38 range. I think that'll be good for us. So, Jeff, you got anything else that you want to say before we wrap this up?
Nope.
All right, then. Well, just want to say thank you all for watching, listening. If you guys could please do us a favor and leave likes, comments, subscribes. Obviously, me and Jeff did a whole video on reacting to some of our comments. So if you blow up our comment section, we'll respond. We'll make a video out of it maybe. And, we really do love doing this for all you, and we'd like to hear from you. But with that all being said, peace, and we'll see you in the next one.